Today we'll be looking at the chess opening, the King's Gambit. So the King's Gambit is basically when you sacrifice the f4 pawn. White sacrifices the f4 pawn in order to gain advantage later on in the game. So let's see how it goes. White starts with moving pawn to e4. Then black moves pawn to e5. And now white is sacrificing his pawn by moving it to f4. There are two reasons of doing this. One is to initiate the attack on the king's side, and uh, the other reason is that by black killing it using this pawn, there's lesser influence of black in the center. And we all know that center is the main thing in chess. So that's one reason. So black kills. So now the best move is knight to f3. Then next, black moves pawn to g5. And the reason for doing this is the black wants to keep his one pawn advantage, so he's supporting it. Then white does h4. Pawn is moved in front to g4. Then knight to g5. Knight to g5. And thanks to the h4 pawn, now the knight's also supported from the attack of the queen. So to get rid of the knight, there are two variations that you can do. You can either move your pawn to h6 or pawn to f6. We'll look at both of them. Let's first look at pawn to h6. So pawn to h6 is attacking the knight. So here's one more sacrifice that white does by killing the pawn here. And black responds with killing the knight with the king. So now black has completely lost his castling. So now move queen to g4. Then in order to protect the king and attack the queen, he moves knight to black moves knight to f6, and we continue taking the pawns. And now as we see that the black king's in a very bad position, next white can move his pawn up and pin the knight. So overall, even though uh, white is down by a few points, but position wise white is in a much better position, and he also can develop these pieces. And after he castles, this rook will be very strong on the f flank, attacking the king. So now let's look at the other variation of pawn to f6. In this variation, we won't be going to knight to f7. We'll sacrifice again by moving queen to g4. Now black takes the knight, then queen to h5 check. So now this forces the king to move, and black eventually loses his castling. And now we can white continues attacking the king. So now as we see that the black king's in a very bad spot, and it has to move again, and we can continue taking the pawns and start attacking by developing these pieces. So even though white has a, a material disadvantage, but it has a very strong position which can get black into real trouble. So this is the king's gambit, where you sacrifice a pawn in the start to gain a positional advantage later on in the game. Thank you for watching and subscribe for more videos.